Hi there, welcome to my video on practice 6 markers. I have six markers for you. They're all real exam questions from past papers for you to have a go at. Crucial to try and get 6 out of 6 on these style questions. All for Unit 3 from the Personal and Business Finance unit for the BTEC business. So aim to try and do these in sort of 8 to 10 minutes per question. That will kind of keep you on track for the exam. What we'll do is set your question. You can pause the video if you want to have a go at the question, and then we'll have a look at the mark scheme as well. So let's go straight on to question 1. Now these 6 mark questions normally come with a scenario for you to read and then followed by the question. And typically the command word on a 6 mark question is discuss. Meaning kind of give both sides of the argument or both reasons and things like that. So let's move on. Let's have a look at the question, and if you want to have a go at the question, by all means pause the video because we're going to have a look at the answer in the next slide. So here we go then. Here's question 1. This is from a real exam paper from June 2024, the most recent exam paper at time of recording. And there you go. There's the scenario that you would have to read and maybe highlight some key points in this scenario. I would say before you read the scenario, read the question first. Because you know, if you read the question first, then you actually know what you're kind of sort of trying to pick out, because otherwise you're going to read the paragraph there of text, then you're going to read the question, then you're going to go back and read the paragraph again, aren't you? So just read the exam question first, and there it is at the bottom. Discuss whether Fatima should apply for a payday loan, and it's worth 6 marks. And there you go. In that sort of scenario that they've given you should indicate as to, you know, the reasons perhaps why she should or why she shouldn't apply for a particular payday loan. Now, if you know what your payday loans are, then you're off to a flyer. All you've got to do then is kind of do the discussion, give reasons why she could and should apply for a payday loan, and the reasons why she shouldn't apply for a payday loan. So, like I say, if everybody know what a payday loan is, of course, you've got to know what that is. So a payday loan is a short-term loan until somebody's payday, and at a very, very high interest. That's what a payday loan is. So basically, if it got to the middle of the month and you were short of money and you didn't have any money till your next payday, normally at the end of the month, you could apply for a payday loan and get a loan of say £100, £200, £300, £500, say, and then when you get paid, you will pay back the amount that you have borrowed plus a heavy amount of interest. It's not something I personally would recommend that you ever do because of the amount of interest is very high. But anyway, that's what a payday loan is, just to sort of help get you started on this question. So like I say, pause the video, have a go at the question, and we'll have a look at the answer in just a moment. Okay, so well done if you had a go at this question, and let's have a look at what the mark scheme says. Now always remember, with mark schemes, they're the kind of indicators to the examiners as to what they should be looking for in your answers. Sometimes it says accept any other reasonable response, which means if you've made a very valid point and the examiner agrees with you, then they're going to give you a mark for that as well. So the question was really sort of saying to you, wasn't it, what are the advantages and disadvantages of her applying for a payday loan? And there you go. There's the list of advantages. What did you have in yours? Did you get any of these? Note that obviously in this case has been given 4 advantages and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 disadvantages. So you don't need to have all 10, by the way. The examiner's only looking for 6 marks, and if you've given a really good explanation and maybe a 2 from the top, 4 from the bottom, or whichever way round, you potentially could get all 6 marks. It doesn't just have to be 3 and 3, because as you can see, there's a few more. There we go. So let's have a look at a couple of advantages. She can get the money straight away, often within 1 hour. so she is able to go on the holiday. Yeah, payday loans. If you're approved for a payday loan, the money normally goes into your bank account within the 1 hour, because they want you to borrow the money, because they want you to pay the interest a few weeks later when you get paid. So yep, that's a valid reason. Most people qualify for a payday loan, so it's likely that Fatima will be able to get the money that she needs. That is also true. Sort of slightly different lending criteria with payday loans, and so that could have been an answer as well. The amount she pays back cannot be more than double the original amount borrowed. Therefore, the maximum she will repay is £700, which is still a hell of a lot of money. But anyway, these are kind of some of the advantages. Let's have a look at a disadvantage. Some payday loans have a very high interest rate, so Fatima could end up paying a large amount of money back. Well, that's definitely true when it comes to the payday loan. So anyway, you might have some of those other ones in there as well. Also, what examiners do is they mark your work and they award you some marks, and then what they do is they just quickly double check it against this grid, and they say, is this a level 1, is this a level 2 answer, is this a level 3? So for example, if the examiner had read your answer, awarded you 5 marks, they quickly glance over to this grid and say, is this definitely a level 3 answer? And it has to kind of fulfill this kind of criteria as well. It demonstrates accurate and thorough knowledge and understanding of relevant information. So the examiner's looking for that, and displays a well-developed and balanced discussion. Okay, so remember the question or the command word was of course discuss. So did you do that? And if you did, you'll get awarded a level 3 answer there. So also, just to kind of reassure you, remembering that grade boundaries are approximately around 60% for the exam, trying to get a distinction. So remember, you're not trying, if you're going for top grade, you're not trying to get 100% in this exam. It doesn't work like that. You can get a few things wrong and walk away with the top grade. Approximately, varies from year to year, but you're looking to get around about 60%, and you can walk away with a distinction for this particular exam. Okay, let's move on to question 2. So straight on to question 2 then, and question 2 looks like this. This is from the January 2024 paper. There's your scenario, but go straight on to the question, I suggest. Read the question. So let's see what it says. Discuss, there's the command word again, the advantages and disadvantages to Connor of applying for an individual voluntary arrangement, also known as a IVA. Do you know what an IVA is? Well, it's that sort of final step prior to bankruptcy. It's one way of sorting out your finances. If you don't know what an IVA is, do look it up, because you would need to know this for this particular type of question. Then go back, read the scenario, and highlight any key points in that scenario that might help you to be able to write the advantages and disadvantages of an IVA. And if you'd like to have a go, pause the video. If not, we're going to move on straight away to the answer from the mark scheme. So here you go, here's the mark scheme for this particular question, split into 2 areas, perhaps 3 marks with advantages of applying for an IVA, and maybe 3 disadvantages, just depending on the sort of how you got it laid out. Did you explain what an IVA was to start with? Did you come up with a conclusion in your answer? All things to think about. Let's just pick a couple of these out. Having an IVA is a way of avoiding bankruptcy. Well, of course it is. Yes, that is very, very true. So you could have had that. Some of Connor's debts may be written off. Could be, depending on the scenario and where his debts are. Connor will have one fixed monthly repayment, as all his debt repayments will be combined. That is true. That is definitely an advantage of an IVA. Kind of puts you back in control of your finances. Disadvantages of an IVA. Connor's credit rating will be adversely affected throughout the IVA and possibly for some time afterwards. Yes, that is definitely true. He won't be applying for any credit cards, mortgages and loans for a while if you've had an IVA. Shows that you've not been able to sort of manage your finances correctly, and so you will be prevented from applying for credit for a little while, shall we say. Some debts cannot be included in an IVA. For example, court fines, you can't throw those into your IVA, so that's no good. If Connor benefits from any unexpected funds, he may be expected to pay the funds into the IVA. So if you had a lottery win or some inheritance or something that came in during the period of the IVA, he would have to put some money in to contribute towards his debts. That could be considered to be a disadvantage. Okay, so it's the same grid that I showed you in the previous screen that the examiner will mark it against, and obviously you're aiming to try and get a 5, potentially 6 on this question. Trickier question than the previous one. Definitely worth having a go at, definitely worth having to try and secure those 6 marks. Let's move on to question 3. So here is question 3, and there you go. Let's go straight to the question. Discuss whether Taylor should save her own money for the renovations or borrow from a bank. So what's that really asking me? It's a 6-mark question, as we know. That's really saying is what's the advantage of using your own savings as opposed to borrowing from a bank for a loan? That's what that's really asking. And then of course you got the business scenario, or the personal finance scenario I should say, that goes with that question. Read that carefully, highlight, and then come up with your answer. Pause the video if you want to have a go at this question, and it's directly from the June 2023 paper, and if not, we are going to go straight on to the answer. So it's nicely laid out, this particular mark scheme. Got a question there again, 6 marks, and it's split into 4 categories. The advantages of borrowing from a bank, the disadvantage of course from borrowing from the bank, the advantage of using your own savings, and the disadvantage of using your own savings as well. So have you got any of those down? Did you pick any of those out? Common sense stuff in there, but also some little few other sort of complicated things. If you've not borrowed from a bank before, or you've not had any sort of personal savings, it can be a bit tricky, this question. But if you've done your stuff and you've had a good go at this question, give yourself a mark and see how you got on. Hopefully you got somewhere around 5 or 6 out of 6. On to question 4, let's have a look at it. This is a question from the January 2023 paper. Straight to the question then. Discuss whether Morgan should transfer his debt onto the new credit card offering 0% interest for 12 months. And there's the little scenario that you need to read as well and highlight. Discuss, 6 marks, maybe 3 reasons why he should, perhaps 3 reasons why he shouldn't, and you might have yourself a decent 6 marks there on that particular question. Have a go. If you want to, pause the video. We're going to go through the answer next. So here's the mark scheme for this particular question. Now, interestingly, this particular question was divided up into 3 areas, where showing that you could do a little bit of calculation to show how much interest they might pay and things like that. So you can see the kind of calculations that are potentially done there. So did you do any calculations to demonstrate your understanding of the question? You could have done, maybe you should have done, but then it moves on to the advantages of consolidating the debt onto a single 0% credit card, and then of course the disadvantages. So the advantages are, of course, that they could be debt-free in 12 months' time if they continue to make payments or overpayments on that credit card debt. Current debt will stop growing as no interest is added each month. That is definitely true as well. Disadvantages: you may end up with outstanding balance at the end of the 12 months if he doesn't pay off all his debts, and then he's going to be charged 29.9% on the balance, which is higher than he's currently paying. Because he is young, he may just spend the money. He will be saving on luxury items and will not benefit from his finances in the long term. So maybe just because he's making a saving, maybe he won't save his money because he's young and he's not careful with his money and things like that. There you go. Anyway, that's the mark scheme for that particular question. Let's move on to our next one. So if you're still with us, this is question 5, and this is from the May 2022 paper. Tricky one, I said on here. Slightly different format. A new supplier of wood chips, which is used to produce the packaging, has asked to look at Vetropak's statement of financial position to decide whether to offer trade credit to the business. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages to the supplier of analysing the statement of financial position when making a decision about whether to offer trade credit. Can you get that one? That's an advantage, disadvantage, 3 of each perhaps. Pause the video, give it a go, and we'll have a look at the mark scheme in just a moment. So here is the answer. There's the advantages and there's the disadvantages. Let's just pick one out from each. You can have a look to see how many you got. What I do like about this one is down the bottom there it says accept any other appropriate response. So if you have made a valid point that the examiner agrees with you and it's not on that list, you will still be awarded the mark. Anyway, advantage. The net current assets measure the business's ability to meet its day-to-day expenses and whether the business has sufficient liquid assets to repay any trade credit offered. So it's quite a complex answer there, or complex advantage. You really do need to understand your balance sheets to be able to sort of write in this way. So it is a tricky question in my opinion, but if you've been working on them and your teacher's gone through the kind of advantages and disadvantages or how to actually interpret a balance sheet, then of course you should in theory be able to go on and answer this question. Let's have a look at a disadvantage as well. The statement of financial position, or also known as a balance sheet, presents data for a set point in time, which limits its value, as other times of the year the situation may differ, especially for a seasonal business. So for example, an ice cream business, for example, might look like it's doing very, very badly over the winter months, but of course in those summer months it will look like it's doing exceptionally well. So it doesn't always gives a real representation of the data you're looking at that moment in time. So that's a good example of a disadvantage as well. See how you got on? You're looking for 5 or 6 marks out of 6 on this one to keep going and getting that top grade. Okay, so some of you might be pleased to hear this is the last question, question 6, and I hope that you're still with me trying to have a go at these questions. These are definitely very useful for practicing these 6 marks for the exam. Let's have a look at this final question then. So there it is, it's from the January 2022 paper. Personal attitudes towards the role of money will be different depending on a person's life stage. Okay, so that jumps back into that personal finance. Discuss the personal attitudes of people in young adulthood towards borrowing and saving money. There you go. Give that one a go. Pause the video and then we're going to go straight through the answer in the next slide. So here's the answers for you. Quite a few there on the borrowing side of things, quite a few on the saving point of views. Only worth 6 marks, so just need to get some of it down, maybe 3 from each perhaps. Let's just pick one out at random from the borrowing. More likely to rent a home than to borrow for a mortgage. Yep, could be a good indication there on the borrowing front. Saving, less likely to save as they do not know how the system works. Okay, that could be another explanation. It's in the mark scheme. If yours got that down, then award yourself some marks as well. Hope you did well on that. Okay, that brings us to the end of the video. So good luck in your exam. I hope you found that useful. If you'd like me to do any other videos, please do let me know. I'm more than happy to try and help you work this out and get the best result that you possibly can. Thank you very much.